This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
All right, what's up, targets? This is Steven, your host with Fantology Podcast. I have my lifelong friend Jake with me, and we're talking about Network Effect by Martha Wells, book 5 of the Murderbot Diaries, and the first full-length entry in the series. We did a review of books or novellas 1 through 4 a little bit ago, and now we've continued on with the series, almost done. And I think we are still liking it. Hopefully, I like the book. We haven't talked yet. I'm hoping you did as well, Jake.
Yeah, I did. I think it maintains the same quality as the previous ones before. I don't think it was like too game changing in terms of like jumps in quality one way or the other. But I was consistently happy with it.
I liked it the best out of
The
the
best.
5 that I've read so far. I mean, not like by a wide margin, but I thought it was really good. And I believe this one that won the Hugo. I know that she won
I'm not
both the
sure.
Hugo and Nebula. We probably should have, done some research coming into this episode on this, but the cover does say winner of Hugo and Nebula awards, and I'm pretty sure it's this
It was
one
this one.
that
Okay.
won the Hugo.
Yeah,
So
I
I
knew that.
mean, the awards givers know, and we know that there's nothing wrong with science fiction fantasy awards at all. So I think we can trust this
We'll
entirely.
we'll
So
focus on the
that was
nebula
maybe a
at this
little,
point.
yeah, that was maybe a little more jaded than it should have been. I'm not implying anything wrong with this award
No,
cycle
this
at
was
all.
well deserved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely know the series somewhere along on the way gets has received those reward awards, and I do agree they're deserved. Um, yeah, I don't think I was disappointed with this one at all. I don't I don't know. I feel like I came across like bagging on it. I'm not at all. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if
No,
it's my
you weren't.
favorite.
I mean, you said
Okay.
same quality,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
from our previous review, Josh and I all really liked the first 4. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah. What did you feel the difference that having a full length novel made? I phrased that really poorly, but like,
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think that's going to be probably maybe one of the bigger points of discussion on this one, because that is the biggest difference from our previous
mhm.
conversation. And I guess, should we just do like spoilers now? I mean, there's probably not too much of a point in any of these mid series episodes. I
Yeah,
feel like there's not much of a point of saying no spoilers. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
oh, sure. Yeah, let's dive in.
All right. So if for whatever reason you don't want spoilers, we both liked it quite a bit. Go check it out. We're gonna dive in now. So the biggest difference, I felt like after 4 books, the characters have been, really well established, and now we're able to like take them to the next level almost. Like there's no need to waste any time on setup. Like we're just kind of going for it, which is also kind of interesting because we do bring in some new characters, but I feel like the book continues to shine where it's Murderbot bouncing off whoever it's interacting with, be it primarily Art and Amina
Yeah,
are probably the 2 main side characters. And Murderbot just like continues to grow into more and more of a person, which is a fun trail to follow as the series has progressed. And I think at each stage it's been fun for different reasons. And I'm liking where it's at this point. I think it's like accepted its personhood, and now the jokes are more like it is like the situations are more of the like Murderbot is more human than the humans, or like doesn't realize that it is as human, but the humans are joking about how much of a diva Murderbot can be, that type of thing. Which, it's not like those are entirely new types of things, but I feel like we've moved past the existential stuff where Murderbot was kind of like doubting who it was to now it's like accepting who it is and still trying to like figure out how it fits in, but maybe more at peace with its identity. I don't know. Did you sense that at all? There was a
Yeah,
lot that I just threw out a lot and
yeah.
all that, but yeah.
I do want to get back to the character point because I think that is a an interesting thing to dissect, comparing like character work in novellas versus a full length book. But to respond directly to the existential stuff, the jokes, and like Murderbot's character development itself, yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the novellas up to this point were Murderbot discovering themselves and discovering their humanity and their personhood. But now in this one, they're thrown back with a group of people who already readily accept their personhood, you know? And so it makes for this interesting. I feel like in the other novellas, the jokes are like you're laughing with Murderbot at how awkward the situation is. Like you're laughing at the awkward situations, but it's not like you're laughing at Murderbot. You're like it's more like
You're
commiserating.
you're more laughing at the humans.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas this one, I think Murderbot is the like I don't know if the butt of the joke is the right way to phrase that, but it like Murderbot is the one who you're laughing at. Like there's lots of moments where they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, you're jealous," or "Oh, you're worried about your friend," and Murderbot's like, "No, I'm not. You guys are being dumb," and
Yeah.
you're like laughing at it, which is a departure in a good way. I think that's pretty fun to like now that like okay, we know this is what the situation is. We can kind of um it like allows you to let Murderbot grow more while poking fun at it, and I thought that was done pretty
Mm-hmm.
well. Um, yeah,
Because
like
it
the
has to maintain that humorous element, which is a
mhm,
staple of the series. But yeah.
yeah. And then going back to the character work, I do think, yeah, first of all, like you said, we have the groundwork of these four novellas, which are at least a book, if not a book and a half, 2 books worth of content up to now. So the world's established, the setting and characters are somewhat established. I one thing the novella or the novel, full novel structure allows for is more character development outside of Murderbot. Basically, in all the novellas,
Mm-hmm.
it's you mostly just get character development from them with a little like introducing other people, but not really
Yeah. Yeah.
full
True.
development. Whereas a novel allows you to do that more. And I think in some places the book does a really good job with that. Like I feel like I got to know Art a lot more. And Art before was kind of this annoying, like, but friendly thing. And after reading this one, I'm like, okay, Art is like a force of nature
Yeah.
that you have to reckon with. Um and I really liked Murderbot's relationship with Amina in this. Like I think those characters were done really well, and it was interesting to be able to have a larger cast throughout, which made
Mm.
for it a more intense plot. But I do think we made you made some notes, and I agree with them that I do think a lot of the characters kind of felt the same when they were just like the character, like the characters
Mm.
from Arata's section. You know, they're all pretty similar. Like they are different people, but they feel pretty similar. And then the I guess Art's crew, like you know, like you did, I didn't really like. I don't remember any of their names and like who would stand out. And then
Well, they get introduced just at the very
the
end, so I suppose
but
that's
even the
understandable. But
yeah, but even I don't know. It's just, like there were more characters involved, which was nice, but I don't think any of them really had a chance to shine besides Art and Amina.
uh-huh.
But
Do you think there's any purposeful decision in doing that? In that, like, Murderbot doesn't really distinguish them as
yeah,
much, or
maybe yeah, because he doesn't really care about like this book. I felt like was him getting to care about Amina
uh,
and developing his relationship with Art, and so that makes sense that the rest of them are kind of just you know the other members of the self-preservation.
Which like I could kind of buy that, but on the other hand, they really are the only people that he cares about at all. Like
Yeah.
they're his humans, but maybe Murderbot is not at the point where it really cares enough to distinguish. It's more just like I am responsible for this group of people, and until they form like a real solid relationship with me, I don't really care to learn much more about them other
Yeah.
than like their vulnerabilities that I need to protect them from type of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to like kind of like retroactively justify what's happening. But
Yeah,
I think really the constraint was it is a novel, but it's not a long novel, and there are other things the author wanted to focus on. And
right,
I think that
right.
was the real, for better, for worse, I think that was
Yeah.
the real reason it happened that way.
Like between Rati, Oversee, Arata a little bit more because she's kind of like the de facto leader, like the
Yeah.
one that goes over to the transport ship and the negotiation. Garathan, Pinley, although those two characters are not really like in the action quite as much. Anyway, like those ones all kind of blend together.
Yeah.
It almost feels like those five characters could have become three characters, and maybe each of the three could have been distinguished a little bit more, and that would have made for stronger, just a little bit easier to distinguish them.
Yeah. I would, yeah, just I guess like my summary analysis is I don't think the whole cast of characters were done super well. But I did like Art and Amina, and I think the book shines in other places that make up for um this
Yeah,
weaker aspect to it.
yeah.
But
So I think one of the strongest parts about the series, and this book included, was the pacing throughout, just really fast paced most of the time, but also slows down with the humor and the emotional hits and development of the plot. I thought it was probably the strongest part of the book. Like I was always really sucked in, and the ending like just kept on coming at you in waves is pretty well done.
yeah, I liked the mystery setup. I think that was done really well because like you really like the characters had no idea what was happening. You had no idea what was happening. So it's fun to get that real time development. And yeah, it was a mystery done well enough where I wasn't able to guess everything that happened, but I did hypothesize that Art wasn't totally gone and that the reason
Yeah,
they
right. I
wouldn't,
mean, it must have
yeah,
been.
yeah, like things like that where it's like not everything's given away, but enough for you to like be able to follow along. Like
Mhm.
I don't know, there's like a balance there you have to strive. You don't want like all the reveals that come out of nowhere. You're like, okay, I never could have known this, so this wasn't like a fun
Yeah.
mystery, you know? Um,
Also, did you were you assuming once we started getting the alien tech, like what did they call it, the alien remnant plot device
yeah,
introduced, and everyone's acting weird and they're trying to figure out what's going on down to the planet? Like, were you assuming that the alien thing probably infected something? And like, I feel like the
yeah,
final, like, that was kind of like the big thing at the end, like, oh, here's what's finally happened. I just feel like that's been done so many times in so many
yeah.
ways.
I wasn't expecting like where they find the like basically like virus alien thing. You know what I mean? Like the infected infection alien thing. I assumed it was more like um either the gray people were aliens or they were like uh a human civilization who kind of similar who had just incorporated alien tech into their society and were so isolated that they appeared to be alien. You know, I didn't expect the infection plot line. And how like
Mm,
the colony was basically split. Like everyone was like exposed to it, and some like gave in to the hive mind, and others weren't infected that way. Um,
mhm.
I was fine with that. I think my big critique there is each one of the novels gives you like little hints into the overall world building. Like dropping breadcrumbs there, and I was hoping this would provide more into that, but it felt like the same amount of breadcrumbs. Like you don't, the point of the book is not to explore that the greater corporation conflict or the greater alien conflict, really. It is still kind of piecemeal there. I was hoping for a bigger dive into that, but
I mean, it almost seems like from the, I guess we didn't even talk about the flashbacks that occur. It almost
I
seems
yeah,
like the Grey Chris thing is over. Like Grey Chris is kind of disavowed,
yeah,
disbarred, whatever, and like they've made one final gasp attempt that Murderbot shut down. So it's like, is that plotline just done?
yeah. First of all, I did like the flashback thing. I thought that was fun because it kind of like kept you on your toes. Well, you already had this other mystery going on, trying to figure out like how that plays into it. And I like how they tied it together where like narratively that flashback is what the copy of Murderbot shared with the other
Yeah,
um
the other sec
not
unit,
sec unit
Murderbot. Yeah, Murderbot 3.
3. Like I think that was really um good storytelling to like incorporate everything in that way while
Yeah,
having it raise the like intrigue throughout. I was bummed that like there's a point where I was like, oh wait, they're not describing a flashback I have read in the previous novel. Like this is a whole different adventure. At first I thought it was them recapping the adventures we had read. And then I was like, wait, we haven't read this one. I'm sad that this is the only way we're getting to experience it rather than like more detail. But I didn't, maybe I should have, I didn't interpret that as the Grey Chris stuff being completely over. I just thought of it as like another um interaction with them. Like they like I don't know what is that? Just that like kind of trope of like you foiled my plans this time, but I'll be back.
yeah,
So I was
yeah.
kind of
I I mean, it could be. I would like a
I think it
better
needs more
attempt.
exploration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because
Um
in book, was it 3 or 4? I don't remember. That they blend together so much. But that,
I
I mean, Grey
think
Chris seemed
4.
like, yeah, but
Yeah.
they were much more of a problem, and it makes sense that after that plan didn't work, that everyone else in the galaxy or whatever universe that we call this is just has disbarred them. That makes sense, but at the same time they seem like the big bad, and it's always
Yeah.
satisfying as a reader to have a big bad or have a conflict thread that you can follow through the whole series.
Also, um in the world that's been set up, I don't feel like those two events should be like world ending for Grey Chris. Like I imagine them as this huge corporation existing in this ultra corporo
Mm,
capitalistic society where like I feel like in the world that I feel has been built, they could just throw money at the situation
yeah.
and get better PR, make it go away, and then continue doing what they're trying to do. Um, but maybe not. But yeah, I was hoping, and I am still hoping that the series, like big overarching like plot bad guys, will involve Grey Chris and um
And
discovering more
alien
about the alien
tech.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That would be satisfying for sure.
rather than just pivoting to the aliens. But
Yeah. Otherwise it's almost like having an argument with someone where the target keeps on shifting, and it's just
yeah,
unsatisfying.
yeah. Um, sorry, I feel like you had another question there, but I can't remember if I didn't answer it. But
We started off going through pacing stuff and then somehow pivoted to the main
oh, because
big conflict.
the flash,
Yeah.
yeah, I like the flashback as part of the pacing though. I thought um that was well done. I really loved I loved getting to know Art more. And I loved all the robot stuff. I loved Murderbot 2.0. Like the idea that there's another Murderbot and like they are working together, but they are separate.
Mhm.
And then I love that there's like that conversion effort to get the other sec unit to become free. And how they were just like, I'm gonna go pace and patrol because I have no idea what I should be doing now that I can choose what I do. This is the only thing I know to do.
Uh-huh.
But I'm hoping Murderbot 2, oh no, that Murderbot 2.0 died, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sacrificed. Yeah. Noble sacrifice.
I was hoping that would be explored further. You know, that was wrapped up a little too neatly, in my opinion, because that could have some really wild
Yeah. It does seem like a
yeah,
little bit of an OP ability.
just copy yourself that way. Yeah.
Yeah, copy yourself and throw it and take down. And I always wonder, like I put a note here of Murderbot seems to always take over the security systems. Like it's a little hard to know what exactly are the limitations in this world because like art seems like the top of the line
Yeah.
tech out there, but Murderbot is like very rarely thwarted. I guess in book 4 when Murderbot has to rescue Mensa, like there's a lot of obstacles, so it can't just overcome everything. At least in this book, it had no trouble with any security, anything like that. But I guess part of
Yeah.
the book was that they were using this
Old
somewhat
tech.
ancient, yeah, old
Yeah.
tech, but it was just like modified to be Alienware. So maybe it makes sense, and maybe
Yeah.
I'm just not remembering some limitations from the previous books.
I was hoping with the whole copy thing, we'd see more of the differences that 2.0, and they mentioned a little bit, but I didn't feel like it made a significant difference in performance or personality. But like the copy is only code, whereas Murderbot is like digital code and organic,
Mm,
you know, like brain
yeah,
computer,
right. Because
like
in our previous conversation, we'd speculated on how much of the organic components are
yeah,
driving who Murderbot is.
yeah. So I was hoping to see like yeah, just a bigger difference there, and maybe I don't know. I did kind of feel like maybe the author is like, I don't know what to do with two murder bots in the future, so one's got to die, you know, before this book ends. I could see that being a motivation to have the sacrifice play.
Yeah, that would be fairly. It would get redundant if it was a thing for like an entire book.
Unless it was
And
like a completely different character and you know,
yeah,
like unique personality and everything.
yeah,
I
and
was
we've
hoping for like
already
a oh go ahead.
was we already introduced Murderbot 3, which is going to
Yeah,
be not redundant. I think that will be a really fun look into who the Murderbot character is because that maybe some of the questions that we asked before can be answered by the lens of like, what if a different individual takes this
yeah.
same journey, basically the same path, kind of
But
a
because they
fascinating
are
experiment.
yeah,
Yeah.
but because they are different, like how different will they react to everything and like different personalities will appear. Um yeah. I think this is kind of jumping off to another topic, but I liked it wasn't like super explicit, but like the emotional toll that um the whole event took on Murderbot, where thinking his friend Art had died, and then realizing Art was alive, but then also realizing Art like manipulated this whole situation, you know, and
Yeah.
so like still feeling the grief from mourning their loss, but now that's turning into anger at being duped, you know what I mean, and not being able to like not being able to
Mhm.
turn like release that grief because your friend is still alive, but instead it just like turns to anger. I think that was like very realistic to like traumatic experiences and relationships. I thought that was um
Mm.
really fun and realistic at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, that continued exploration of the emerging emotions, or like not emerging emotions, but like more self-aware of the emotions is interesting. And Interesting that Murderbot was the one that told Mensa that she needed to go get the trauma
The therapy.
therapy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Wonder how much of that was just like its health analyzer saying like,
yeah.
yeah, she needs help, and how much of it was, emotional intelligence that is developed.
Yeah, your mental health is at 75% efficiency. You
Yeah.
should go get that treated. um, and in terms of like a more like technology aspect of it, there's a part, and I finished this a little while ago, so I'm not super fresh on it. But there's a part where before I think they find out Art is still alive, they're exploring the ship, and Murderbot finds like an organic mass, and he wonders, is this part of Art's like um computing system? You know what I mean? Like, does he have organic brain
Mm.
as well as the artificial brain, or was it something the aliens brought on board? And it never, I don't think it got addressed, which to me means it was part of Art to begin with.
Oh, I
Um,
thought from
was
that
it?
description, I was thinking it was the alien mass that was installed on the engines to help it go through the wormhole
Oh, maybe it
really
was.
fast, but it was installed poorly, I think, by the gray people.
Hmm.
So then Art was able to like discard it afterwards. I think that's
Oh,
what
okay.
happened.
Because I was wondering if like maybe for all of the like robots, for lack of a better term, who we've seen become like sentient and like persons, I wonder if they needed that organic aspect to their
Yeah.
computing or not. I'll have to look into that.
I mean, it seems like we were discussing like is Mickey a person or
Yeah,
not? We were kind of divided on that. It To me, from what we've seen so far, it doesn't seem like the organic pieces are required. It
especially
just
with the
seems like,
copy.
yeah, it seems like you
Yeah,
just have to have like enough
baseline.
computing connection, enough like synapses connected, firing around with your whatever is going
Yeah,
on. But that's
large enough
not. I mean, that's not
GPU.
always. Yeah, like yeah, big enough, right? But that obviously there's something different between Murderbot and the attack bots that we've seen, and the other sec units that don't have their governor module disabled. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
robots out there with a lot of GPUs, but only
but they all
some are
have
what.
governing modules, really. So is that just
Hmm.
the like they are all sentient, but they're all just being overrun? Is that
So the
like
the governing modules just prevent the free will,
because it sounds like Murderbot could still think,
or
I don't want to
or
do
or from
this.
your end, the perception of free will.
The perception of free will. Yeah. Um, yeah. um, because it seems like they still kind of can decide, like, do I want to do this or not? But they know if they don't, then the governing module will react in some way, whether that's like physically restraining them,
Mhm.
detonating, killing them, like that one sec unit who was killed because its
Right.
crew was too far away from them, even though they couldn't do anything to
Mhm.
um, uh, reconnect with them. But yeah, I think you're
which
right.
which seemed to be a turning point for Murderbot 3 in
Yeah,
in accepting, I mean, as well as the help me file, but
yeah,
that as well. So, and that was before, any tampering with the governing module. So yeah,
yeah.
there's clearly like something there that's being restrained.
And like it seems like the free will to think is still there because the Murderbot 3.0 was able to decide, do I want to,
Mhm.
or yeah. Um, but yeah, I think you're right. I think the fact that the copy of Murderbot um, was basically the same except less computing power. Um, I think that means that the organic compound is not necessary for the sentience in this universe. But
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the action in this book was pretty good too. Um,
Yeah, there was, and not too much, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah, the action when it did happen was quick and snappy and exciting.
Hmm.
Yeah. You did have to track a lot of targets. A lot of targets,
Yeah.
a lot of drones. You know, a lot of
Oh, yeah.
repeated words throughout the action, which maybe is not like super beautiful, right? Like, just like hard, it's hard to throw that together if you're restricted and needing to use those words over and over again, but it like creates this
Yeah.
sense of realism of like this is through Murderbot's eyes and this is how Murderbot determines everything.
Yeah. I love that they got the humans to start calling them targets as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Murderbot's like, oh, I noticed that Tiago called them targets.
Yeah. Also, the when they meet the other corporation people in orbit, or not in orbit, but in space,
Hmm.
and then they go on their ship, and then they're like, "You didn't make us promise like safe passage back, so now we're gonna negotiate." Like, I thought that was pretty funny. That was like um that's almost like a fairy thing, like something in the Fey realm where you're like,
Oh, for
you
sure.
didn't, like you didn't watch your words 100%, except luckily with enough firepower, you can just overrun that or override that.
Yeah, maybe that's an example of something where I'm just not clear, like where is the technological superiority line?
Yeah.
Because I mean that's just like another company, right? And Murderbot is able to just like easily, maybe with help from art, like I don't know exactly.
Yeah. I can't remember if it
It's a
was,
little hand wavy, but it's fine.
I can't remember if it was because of art or because they had been weakened by the Greys already. So
Could
they
have been that as well. Yeah.
like not realizing that who Murderbot was when he arrived or they arrived.
Hmm.
Crazy conspiracy I'm coming up with on the spot. Gray
I like it.
Chris,
Yeah.
Grays for the targets. Any connection? Gray Chris has been messing with alien tech,
And
and the
because of
Grays
the
are infected
because
by
of the
alien tech.
color because of the color that the people's skin turned,
Yeah,
they decided to name their company
yeah,
Gray Chris.
yeah.
Yeah.
No.
If that ends up being true, and the reason, like the way that they deduct that there's the connection where they're like,
Oh,
oh
they
my
better not.
gosh, the name is the same, that would be so bad.
If they deduce it that way, yeah, that'd be bad. But if they are connected, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd fault that. Like maybe they're like the alien tech causes things to be gray, so we're into gray stuff, and then they all become infected as well. I don't know. Yeah.
It could be funny as long as it's not like important to the plot.
Yeah. What did you think about the alien stuff? Did it seem like willful, like intentional, or was it just like reacting like a program was like planted and like it was programmed to act this way, so you know what I mean? So it's just doing this. Or did it seem, if it is willful, did you think it seemed evil or just alien?
It seemed, I think it seemed more willful than programmed, even though Murderbot certainly acted like it was programmed. I think that's just how Murderbot
Interprets the world a little bit.
would have interpreted it. And it felt like its goal was to just, yeah, survive and expand, like a hive mind, right? Like your classical hive mind, we're going to take over as much, we're going to try to get off the planet, expand our reach, etc. And that, I mean, I thought it was done well. I just feel like it's really something we've seen a lot. And I don't know,
I
I don't get super interested in alien stuff.
I'm really interested in alien stuff.
I know you
Not
are. You're way more interested in alien stuff than I am.
not super interested in hive mind just because I think it can lead to like cop outs into like more nuanced worlds, more nuanced relationships, or it's just like okay, all the aliens have this goal, you know what I mean? Rather than like
Mm,
individuals where you have factions among the humans, you know? It did seem like the targets themselves, they didn't seem to act like mind controlled like a hive mind so much to me. Um, but then that like thing that like the big bad thing at the end seemed very much like hive mind-ish. So I wonder how much
mm.
of it is like full control versus just having an influence. I don't know. I'm kind of curious, like it seems like their society has been established for a while, and why haven't we seen them expand before? Was that the first time that planet has been visited again and they just took advantage of the situation?
I think that's what it was, right?
That's
Because
supposed to, okay.
they were, and this was a little bit of a weakness to the book because I felt like there was some detailed, almost like bookkeeping required as to okay, like point one, point two, point three, and it does that several times in the
Yeah.
narrative, which is like I don't know if that's my favorite way to really like bludgeon it into my head. I'd rather just have it kind of like naturally be explained. But from from what was laid out numerically, I think first of all, the original team went down there to terraform the planet, radio silence. Then this other
Right.
team went down there to like this opportunistic team went down there to see anything interesting after this old attempt went nowhere, and then that was like the first time they'd been visited since, and
And
once
then
that
those
happened, it
people, the ship they got from those people was able to intercept Art because Art was also trying to his crew was trying to be opportunistic as well, right? Or they were doing something shady with the planet.
yeah. And honestly, I don't remember exactly, or I'm not even sure if it was totally explained. Like this was right at the end of the book, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but
Yeah.
I feel like it was revealed at least to Murderbot's humans, but I'm not sure if Murderbot even cared at that point or if it was just like checked out of the whole
Yeah.
thing. And so maybe we find out in the later book, or maybe it was explained and I missed it, but I got nothing for you right now.
Yeah. It it just seemed kind of like it's interesting. This is like we're seeing the very first thing, and the first thing is like them gathering weapons, you know? Um, I don't know. But and like it was I feel like that wasn't explained well enough. Like, oh, they wanted a weapon, or
Yeah.
like you think they'd want to like no game plan. They're just gonna go grab a weapon, you know? Like what was the larger goal for the aliens there? I think
Yeah.
that was smart on Art's part though, to be like, oh yeah, I'll send you to a weapon, and then uh like find the one person they thought could save them. But
Yeah. It was smart and it also showed how ruthless Art was, but it also showed the fact that Art had released a message into preservation space right after
yeah,
getting there showed some like compassion, humanity, but the
yeah,
fact that Art didn't tell them that it did that also showed how cunning it was. So there's a lot of layers to that whole
there's a lot of
interaction. Yeah.
alsos.
Yeah, there are.
Also, to be fair, Art was probably under a lot of stress trying to game plan this before it was deleted into the copy,
Yeah.
deleted from the system into just the copy that existed there. So
Yeah, but like to be fair, the way that Murderbot describes Art's computing capacity seems like it can do a lot of stuff in a very short amount of time. So I feel like it could have ran a lot of scenarios into what it could possibly
yeah.
do. And like this was the thing that it arrived at. So
Also,
yeah.
how like what is their like data storage tech like Art is this huge like sentient like operating system that like runs a huge ship, and then it's able to back itself up into this like granted like a small like a compressed version I guess, but it's able
Yeah.
to like back itself up into like basically a USB is what it felt like, you know.
You're marveling at the compression
The
rate
loss
or
Well, it
at
wasn't
the
lossless, but yeah.
yeah. Maybe it has discovered the middle out technique.
The middle out, yeah. Middle out, well, but it's not lossless, so it can't be middle out. They're yet to maybe just like
Mm,
they've passed the either gotten really efficient coding discovered somehow, or they have figured out a way to pass that whatever barrier it is that once your transistors are the size of atoms anyways, how do you go smaller? But maybe they've figured that out. I don't know.
this is a big brain moment for you that I cannot keep
This
up with.
is me missing out on a big brain moment. This is
Mm.
me referencing people who have had big brain moments.
Yeah, thank
um,
goodness for those people.
yeah.
Last thing on my notes that just a fun little note. This kind of reminded me a little bit of the D&D campaign that we did yesterday, where right at
Oh
the end
yeah.
it's split up into multiple parties. One of the parties has to save the citizens. One of the parties has to take down the airship. One of the
Yeah.
parties has well, there wasn't really like a free the barracks type. Well, I mean, Murderbot was like in a
Kinda.
fight for sure. And then eventually we had to go take down, the Dark or the Divine Prince Eos in his lair. So I think we basically have the same thing that we succeeded at
Yeah.
yesterday. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it did feel it did feel give that like adventure feel to it. And it really and I think in a good way where you had multiple parties, like you're saying, with their own objectives, and they're all crucial to the whole plan. And so you're hoping everyone gets their objective done at the right time to make sure,
Mm-hmm.
everything is gonna turn out okay. Um, and I think I liked how Murderbot was kind of more frail throughout most of this. Which they've seen hard times before, but I think this one showed them at their weaker point, both physically and emotionally.
Yeah, yeah. So is book 7 also a novel? I keep on asking myself
Book
this
six.
question. No, book 6 I know is a novella.
Oh, I don't
I'm
know.
thinking to book 7. I need to just look this up right now because I'm so tired of not knowing what it is. It's called Exit Strategy. And so I've actually already read book 6, and I've been maybe withholding that knowledge from you and
Oh,
listeners.
okay.
Because, well, so I was told that book 6 takes place before book 5, and I was told that it just makes more sense to go straight through the first 4 plus 6 and then go to 5 in
Oh,
order,
okay.
yeah, for chronological reasons.
Well,
Okay, book 7 is
oh well.
176 pages, so it's like a long novella. So like
Yeah,
that's gonna
I
be
don't know.
longer. It's gonna be in between 5 and the other ones.
Yeah, what were the other ones like?
I want to say those are more like 100, and network effect here was more like
Artificial Condition
300.
was 158.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And this one was 350. Yeah.
Oh, for some reason
Rogue.
I was,
Yeah, they were all
yeah.
like 150, 160-ish.
Oh, okay. It's
Let me see.
my multipliers on these lengths are way off.
Yeah, what was there's Artificial Condition, Rogue Protocol, Network Effect, and then what was
All Systems Red was number
that's the
1.
first one. I don't have that on here because I read that last year. But
The titles are not super distinguishable.
yeah, they're not. I don't know which is which. No, no, no.
Fugitive
Um,
Telemetry, I think, is book 6.
okay. No. Network Effect. Yeah, I must not have it on here. Um,
Okay. Well, we can wrap up our review of the series with book 6 plus 7. I'll do a refresh on 6. Can both read 7 and
cool.
that'll be
So I
coming
should
up.
do six next then, and then we'll do 7.
I think at this point you probably should.
Okay.
Maybe I should have told you and Josh to also. I don't know. Who knows
Yeah.
what I was thinking at that time.
No, it's all good.
I'm not Murderbot. The time has passed for me as a human to remember what exactly I said.
Until we all get Neuralink.
Yeah, I am signed up for that.
Is there a waiting list you can sign up for?
Actually, I probably could. Like, I mean,
I
obviously, I like qualify as the current interested
Yeah.
population.
Yeah.
But when I say I'm signed up for that, I'm not enough of a risk taker where I'm signed up for it right now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Once it shows that it could actually do something for people physically, then I'm signed up.
I think
If so far I can only play Civ 6 with my mind, that's actually not worth it for me yet.
I think it and this is like a tangent, but I mean we're talking about cyborgs. So I think the target demographic first of all will be people who can't speak due to physical limitations and things like that, which they have like some decent software for like eye tracking to speech, but I think this would be like a game changer for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, decent, but that eye gaze stuff is super frustrating. It's like really hard for.
Well, that's
It's
what I mean.
not.
Neuralink, I
Yeah.
think, would be
Yeah, for sure,
like
for
a
sure.
really good application of that right away, because you don't have to like map out the that compared to like reconnecting like nerve connections and things like that. I feel like it's an easier.
I wonder why did they not like why was patient 0 or test trial 0, whatever the terminologies, why was it someone who was a quad rather than the not speaking population?
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't
like
know.
just for sake of Neuralink's experimentation, it'd be easier to quickly communicate, or I don't know.
Yeah, it might be. Maybe he is testing some communication stuff like that, and it's easier to work with like someone who currently can. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, we need more behind the scenes. What was that guy's name? Started like with an R, like that. Like I want to say Ross, but that's not it.
Oh yeah.
No. It's Nolan. Nolan was the name.
Nolan is it? Yeah.
No
Nolan.
R's. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Let's tweet at Nolan. What kind of tests are you running, Nolan, besides Civ 6?
He can't respond right now. He's too busy playing Civ 6.
Yeah. Well, maybe Neuralink will let him do multiple things at once.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Parallel threads.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we got a little tangent there, but yeah, I know it connects, right?
It connects.
Cyborgs. Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks, Jake. If you want to check out more of Phantology, you can do that with the links below. Specifically, if you want to chat with us, join our Discord, which is a fun time of like-minded individuals and lots of different series that we've read. So just hop on there and bring whatever you want to the table. We do a book club fairly regularly, although it's getting into May and we haven't started May yet. So we'll see what happens for this month. But maybe I should not downsell the awesomeness of Discord. You should definitely join if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely. We have a fun time.